Alright guys, welcome to my review of The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. I just 100% it yesterday, finished it, got every achievement, pretty much crafted everything, besides like all the final weapons and stuff. Like it wasn't really necessary. Didn't plan to explore anymore or things like that, because I kind of explored the whole map. Um, but I took me 40 hours to do this. Wasn't that long to honestly get all the achievements for a survival crafting game. I feel like a lot achievements in a lot of survival crafting games are usually bloat based achievements. So it's like do craft this 1,000 times or stupid shit like that, like die 200 times or eat 2,000 fruits or bogus crap. All the achievements were pretty like straightforward, and you were able to just get them just by playing, which was nice. Anyways, how we're gonna start the review like I always start all my reviews, starting off with the cons. Let me get some background video playing of me playing. Anyways, I have a few cons for this game. I feel like survival crafting games tend to have a decent amount of cons to them. Depending. One, my like one of the cons is that it's definitely a game that is a lot like it's more fun to play and is a lot better to play with friends. You don't have a lot of energy to do stuff in the game, and having to constantly fast travel back to rest and stuff like that kind of sucks compared to having like multiple people just doing stuff together. Not all and not being tired. So it's definitely a game that is better with friends. Another con is in the story mode, there isn't like an infinite amount of materials to mine. So, like there's not a lot of nodes. You can get some materials like in boxes. Well, not really boxes, but like in little material barrels you can find and stuff like that. But there isn't an infinite amount of ways to gather some things. Like some things respawn, yes. But mining nodes specifically for raw materials like iron, coal, salt, and like all the other ores, like tin, for example. Tin's a big one. Like there's rocks you can mine that spit out tin ore, but like they only spit out 3 compared to if you mine a vein, you get like a stack to 3 stacks. So not getting that kind of sucks, and like with the amount of materials you need to build certain things, it really sucks. So you can run out of materials in story mode, which can really put a damper down on trying to do things. Luckily, I was able to like craft everything that I needed to craft with the materials I was able to get. And another con is that the Return to Moria suffers from the same problem that most survival crafting games have, is that the combat typically is pretty bad. But in this case, like it isn't terrible. It's playable. The combat just isn't a big thing, which kind of sucks because as dwarves, I feel like it would feel better if the combat was better. Like the game would be like a little bit better, and especially with how much armor and weapons you can craft set wise. It kind of sucks that it feels like kind of sluggish. And then another con is survival crafting games usually allow you to build however you want. Like take Minecraft for example, or 7 Days to Die, or things like that. Like you can craft wherever, you can build a building wherever you want to build. Same in this case, but the problem is your building range is linked to your hearth, and like you can expand on how many hearths you place to like expand your build range. But I find it kind of annoying that you have to be within a hearth's range to be able to build. I feel like that's severely limiting sometimes. But also like it's not that big of a deal to just place another hearth and you can just hide it behind some like stones and shit, like some stone walls, so it's not like taking up. And I'd say it's a pretty cool build online. And also like I visited a warehouse at the very end of my playthrough just to get all the materials I needed to like quickly build the last few things I needed to build. And another thing is not being able to clear some things that are in big rooms for building. I think I've seen posts about people complaining in Durn's Forge that there's these little pebbles that you can't clear, and that when you want, so you can't have like a flat, clean floor. It has like debris that you can't get rid of. And even if you place like flooring on it, it kind of like phases through a bit, and not being able to clear that out to have like a flat building surface it's kind of sucky. It's not the best for like cool base building. One thing I severely disliked in my whole playthrough, I was just talking about how you don't have a lot of energy to do stuff. Well, a lot of the map is a long distance, you know, like walk from like probably where you set your base up. Granted, you could set up multiple bases and just like work within an area, build up a thing, and then go to your main base. Like move materials. You could do that, but I am one just to have one base and just build upon that base everything I need and do everything there. Mostly because having all my chests full of materials is a lot near me is a lot better, so I can craft everything I need without having to go be like, oh, where did I leave this in, what base did I leave this in, and stuff like that. I'd rather have everything in one spot and just kind of like be able to craft whatever I want. There's fast travel eating at all of your energy levels and your hunger. It severely diminishes how much time you can spend mining and exploring. Not being able to, you know, just like go from one spot to another spot and have the ability just to explore for a long time. Fast traveling just eats away at all your stats. Granted, if you fast travel multiple times in quick succession, you tend to not lose energy, which is nice if you're like quickly going from one spot to another spot. But if you're going from just one to one and then you want to go explore, you just don't have energy, and then you have to go back and sleep and eat food and stuff like that, and it kind of sucks. And then another big thing I talked about, there not being enough, like there's not an infinite amount of mining nodes or materials to get. Um, like there just isn't enough mining nodes. That's like the last big con I have. There's just not enough mining nodes to like mine what you need, which kind of sucks. Um, but I mean, what can you do? Just the zones aren't infinite. They in story mode. Granted, I the sandbox world stuff is from what I heard, I see. It's like an infinite spot space with just like more rooms and stuff like that. Anyways, onto the pro list. I have quite a few of these. I found that the music and lore of the game is in line with the books and the theme of the series. So it's really so the game is really good at setting the tone of what you're doing and the tone of the game. And the creators didn't step away from the lore and stuff like that to make this game, so it's not like say how the Witcher series on Netflix is, how it's not sticking to the lore of the books and it's being super weird. This game sticks to the Lord of the Rings, and it stays within that and it doesn't change. So the game is actually really good in that manner. It doesn't feel off-brand, as one would say. I feel like. And then another pro is that is a very fun survival crafting game with both the option of a linear story experience within the story mode or an infinite sandbox. Granted, I didn't play sandbox mode, so I don't know if it's infinite. I just stuck with the story mode. Probably play around with the sandbox mode off recording in my own free time, you know. Now it's just gonna be a game I play for fun, just to mess around with. If I want to be like super deep in the Lord of the Rings lore. So the ability to take a character from one world to another is great. So when you create a dwarf before you create a world, you create a dwarf, and that dwarf you can use at any point and any world. And when you do, you carry over whatever you have in your backpack and your Hot Wheel or your bar. And so if you say you go to one world with an empty backpack, you can mine a bunch of stuff, fill up your backpack, and then fetch and then leave that world and go back to your main world and have all those materials. So it kind of makes sense that there isn't infinite mining nodes in the story mode in that sense, that you can just go off and go into a sandbox world and like mine up what you need and come back. So that's pretty cool. It's a good quality of life thing. I just feel like there should just be enough mining nodes in the main story mode to begin with. Or like it's a mines of Moria. There should be like a bunch of like mine shafts or like a bunch of tunnels without having to like run out type thing. And as I said, the combat is kind of sucky. It's okay. It's not the best, but it still feels good enough to enjoy getting into fights, especially with large camps of orcs. The amount of gear you can craft is very plentiful. There's a lot of varieties, and allows you to like play however you want, and certain things are good for other things. And every time you upgrade into the next tier of items, you can actually feel the difference. which is really good. So a lot of times, sometimes that's get lost in the scaling. Either you also do way too much damage, or you don't do enough the whole time. I feel like it's really balanced in this game, which is great. I feel like base building is great with lots of options for furnishing and designing how you want to build your base, with the only limitation of it being within a Hertz range. Um, the fact that the game has dedicated servers for people to rent, or it's just awesome. I feel like a lot of games that are online that are survival crafting should have dedicated servers. Granted, I do feel like some I feel like this should just be a survival crafting game that has dedicated servers that you don't have to pay for. Granted, I do understand why you have to pay for them, so like it's not that big of a deal. But it's nice, especially if you're playing with a lot of friends, like 8 friends, and you all can't be on at the same time. But like a few of you can be at a few times. You all can just hop in a world together, hop in whenever you can, and like work toward progressing, which is nice. The designs of the zones are really cool and really fit with the aesthetic of being like dwarven architecture and mines and stuff like that. Granted, some areas do feel a little bit repetitive. Like the mines start to look all the kind of the same. But like the Elven Zone and the cities like Dardelf and stuff like that, those all look really cool. Especially since it's like dwarven architecture. There's like golden inlays and the arches and stuff like that. Looks really cool. Really sets the tone that this was a dwarven home. And then the last thing I have for the pros is that the achievements are easy to get. It's pretty much just play through the game. And when you play through the game and you craft everything anyways, you will just naturally come upon all the achievements, which is great. Since a lot of other survival crafting games have bloated achievements, this for a game in that genre not to, it's really nice. It makes it super easy for you to go through and just like finish the game. And just happen to get all the achievements along the way, as long as you're taking the time to explore each zone you get into, and like properly just spend time gathering resources. It's pretty nice. Doesn't feel bad at all. Like I said, it only took me 40 hours, which I feel is like a small amount of time to spend on a survival crafting game. So I think I have like one of my all-time favorite survival crafting games. I have 308 hours, and I still am missing 2 achievements. Me completing in 40 hours. Granted, 7 Days to Die has been like in beta for like a long time, or like early access, and now it finally released in like I think earlier this year. But yeah, ultimately my final score for the game is a 7.5 out of 10. It's still a really good game. Really good for its genre. It's just I just have a decent amount of cons for it. That kind of knock it down a little bit. It would probably be more in line with the 8 or 8.5 when playing with friends. I feel like if I had a good solid group of friends to play, my opinion of a few things might change. And also I didn't play sandbox mode, so I have no idea how boring that could get if the zones are like decent. So if you guys have played the sandbox mode and you have, if like anything I said, or if you want to add anything for other people to see, just leave a comment down below. greatly appreciated by just not me, but other people and potentially the community. Otherwise, I'm giving this game a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it. They are still updating the game, so there's more to be coming out. So keep a lookout on that. I probably won't do any videos on that, unless they tie things to achievements. Then maybe I'll come back and get the achievements. But if there's nothing that adds to achievements or anything like that, I'm gonna probably come back and do that. So unless it's like a massive expansion where like say Elden Ring with its Shadow of the Erdtree, where I went through and 100% that, even though there was no achievements tied to it. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys, anybody who's stuck through and watched the whole series, anybody who stuck through and watched this video. If you like my content, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate everybody who takes the time to do anything like that. I know there's plenty of other creators on the platform that are probably more entertaining to watch. I just I do not necessarily my best, but I do what I can with the energy I have. I work full time, 2 kids, wife, all that time consuming stuff. I don't really have a lot of time on my hands to spend creating like super extensive videos or edit down play my playthroughs. So again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.